mother is here with us today. And my son was killed in the Battle of the Bulge. The second one was Elmo Tackor. His ship went down in the Pacific. Those be seated now, those were standing. If I have overlooked anyone on this list, please bring it to my attention. Yes. Okay. Yes. We will correct our records here on that. Thank you for the correction. And if anyone else knows of any young man that lived in Hitchcock that went to the service from 1940 through 45, or if they are deceased that are read here, please let us know so we can keep these records as straight as we can. Today we recognize all veterans who have served our country in the past and who are serving today and will be serving in the years ahead. While standing, I may give you just a couple of little brief deals on military that I had. It won't be quite as elaborate as what LJ has here. But in boot camp, I was given my first assignment. Someone came up and said, "The carpenter's mate, come to the chief's office." I go in there, and he hands me a box of pencils. And he said, "Take your pocket knife and cut these pencils in two and sharpen both ends." One end on each pencil. Well, I don't know, maybe I guess just didn't have pencil sharpeners. But that was it. Also, in training, they give you an opportunity to go to school. Well, I had some carpenter experience under Bill Blumberg and Ralph Emery, which a lot of y'all know. And I got a pair of cross hatchets when I went in with one stripe. And the only school I could think of that would be to my advantage going to war would be gunnery school. So I put in for that and was turned down. I asked the chief, why didn't I get a chance to go to gunnery school? He said, "Well, your job is going to be far more important than the guy shooting that boat." And I guess I looked pretty done at it. He said, "Your job is damage control, and you're the guy that's going to have to plug up the holes and put in your ship." So I guess he had a point. The only thing is, he didn't know that I wasn't going aboard ship. But I was land-based all the way. We went to Fort Island. We traded aircraft parts, wings, propellers, hooks, wheels, everything, and pilot gear. Then when we got to the Philippines, two of us carpenters were there. One went to the warehouse and the other one had the camp. Well, the carpenter shop. Well, I didn't know what the carpenter shop really consisted of doing. That was to build a base camp. So I swung the hammer the whole time and didn't need to know how to shoot a gun. I'm going to read the list of the veterans here who have completed the little forms that we sent out. And they are veterans who enlisted or were drafted away from Hitchcock. Charles Barrett, Air Force, Vietnam. Francis Bernius, Air Force, World War II. Wayne Bray, Army Air Corps, World War II. Edward Carr, Air Force, World War II. V.P. Kellerman, Air Corps, World War II. Benny Lewis, Air Corps, served from 1937 to 1957. Harvey Thompson, Air Corps, World War II. Raymond Tutelamondo, Army Air Corps, World War II. Billy Christian Balke, Army, Korea, and Germany.
Lawrence Click, Army, Korea. Henry Cover, Commissioner, Army in Vietnam. Cecil B. Cruz, Army in Korea. Raymond D. Cruz, Army, World War II. Edward W. Cruz, Army, stationed in Haiti. Patrick Daniels, Army, Camp Wallace newspaper editor, World War II. Is he here? Would you please stand? He was the editor of the Camp Wallace. Thank you very much. D. Harley Fogel, Army, World War II, Merchant Marine. Anthony Matranga Jr., Army, City Commissioner, served in Vietnam. Gerald Landry, Army, World War II. Myself, Merchant Marine in World War II and Korea. Miguel Rincon, Army, Vietnam. Marvin B. Stanford, Navy, Vietnam. Leroy Tackard, Army, World War II. Thomas Talbot, Army, Korea. Frank Tax, Army, Vietnam. Charlie Terrasso, Army, World War II. Elmo Bubba Cruz, Marines, Vietnam. Samuel Huff, the Marines, Vietnam. James McDonald, the Marines of World War II. Charles Robinson, Marines, World War II. Jesse Rodriguez, Marines, Vietnam. Jerry Schanzer, Marines, Vietnam. Artis Thompson, Merchant Marine, World War II. Charles Anderson, Navy, served 1953 to 1957. The rest of the following were Navy. Joe Delisandri, Vietnam. John Enby, World War II. D. Harley Fogel, World War II. Clarence Harvey, World War II. Leo Hine, World War II. Cheryl Jackson, Desert Storm. Bernard Lee Jacob, World War II. Eddie Yannick, World War II at Korea. Alan James Runaway Jones, World War II. That's a nice name. Vernon Plowman, Korea. E.C. Plummer, World War II, from Oklahoma. Is he here? Frank Schanzer, served 1974, 1978. Tommy Schanzer, served 1975, 1979. Albert Vincent Schnoebelen, Korea. Marvin Stanford, Vietnam. Henry Wolf, the Army, Occupational Troops. William Charles Robinson, Cavalry Union, Civil War. Would all of those I just mentioned please stand? You are standing. There you are. Ron is ready for a medley of songs. So he's just going to sing one. He's got to watch his voice.
This one that we sing in England a lot, and I believe you're second in this country.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter
and peace ever after. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. All right, I'm one of them immigrants. I'm what they call the limey. The war came to England in 1939, on September the 3rd. I've got 11 o'clock, but it was actually 10 minutes to 11. My mother told us that if we hear the church bell just strike 1 every minute, we know the World War II was on us. Well, at 10 minutes till, it struck 1. We all met in the house. His dad was there. And he told us that it looked bad for England at the time. He said if Hitler gets within 100 miles of us, he wouldn't see us alive. He said he was going to throw a rock around us, throw us in the pond, rather than Hitler get a hold of us. So that's how we started the war, but he never got there. Thanks to America. They came to our aid just in time, because we were in trouble. We appreciate it. Okay, our rationing, a little bit I remember, was we were allowed 1 egg a day per person. If you own chickens and everything like that, the government come around to see how many eggs they were laying. And you gave them eggs up. And if one of the chickens died, you had to report it too. You couldn't eat it. So anyway, we had around about a £1/4 pound of tea per week. That was like your coffee to us. £1/4 pound of butter. £1/4 pound of lard. People don't remember lard. Lard was for your making your cakes and everything else like that with. And ½ pound of flour. And the kids got a £1/4 pound of candy per week. If you know what a £1/4 pound of candy is, you know it doesn't go very far. Okay? But anyway, at around about 1942, we used to play cowboys and Indians. Kids don't play that nowadays. But we're down in the woods playing cowboys and Indians. And we come across a German hanging from a tree. He was dead. Harringberry's parachute. Well, we ran like mad home, you know, scared to death. We got the home guard to go down. We were able to keep some of the parachute, all made of pure silk, the parachute. We were able to keep some of that. And we used to watch their, I don't know if you know what fairy lights are in the wartime. Fairy lights used to be their, used to come down by a parachute and used to light up the sky so the Germans knew where to drop the bombs. Well, we used to stand at our front door and everything. It got so that you didn't go to the air raid shelters, because if it hit the air raid shelters, you were going to die anyway. So Mom used to let us watch them dogfight up in the sky. And they dropped a landmine. The landmine, part of the landmine had exploded, ripped our door clean in half. We were lucky. We heard that piece go straight by us, you know, with the back door in half. So anyway, we had we used to pick up incendiary bombs, which, you know, then fire bombs. And we had one hole, and we took it down to the home guard, and they deactivated it for us. And we were able to pick up airplanes, pieces of airplanes, and everything like that. We were playing in their church, in their school grounds one day, and the air raid siren went. And we didn't have time to go to the air raid shelter, so we went in the ditch. German plane come over, landed in the field next to us, crashed in the field next to us. So we did see some of it, even at our age and everything. Our stuff right now, our old stuff that we've got, if anybody visits the Durham Museum in England, can see a lot of our stuff that we found, like the century bomb, the silk, everything is in the Durham Museum right now. Thank you very much.
Two names I forgot to read off a while ago. We just handed an important communique here. Tony Talbot. Is he here? She. Oh, okay. Thank you. And Terry Terrebonne. Is there anyone here whose name I did not call? I see no arms. Okay.
I'm up again, huh?
You're up again. Come on.
I'm what's called a billion. You all know this one. Please join in. Smiling Through. There's a little brown road winding over the hill to that little white cot by the sea. There's a little green gate at whose trestle I'll wait, while two eyes of blue come smiling through at me. There's a gray lock or two in the brown of your hair, and there's silver in mine too, I see. But all through the long years, when the clouds brought their tears, those two eyes of blue come smiling through at me. Here's one I think every soldier used when they departed. I don't know if I think you heard it in here. It's one of Vera Lynn's years ago, if you remember Vera Lynn years ago. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the bluebirds sky those dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know, tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Thank you, Bing. Another important communique. Philip Perez, Army, World War II, 1943. Purple Heart and the Army Commendation Medal. Passed away November the 2nd, 2001. Just had a few more days to go. We have Mrs. Dorothy Peterson, who is going to enlighten us a little on the home front and the women of Hitchcock.
Well, I'm a lady Hitchcock, except for the first year of my life. And during World War II, I lived and worked here for the Santa Fe Railway. And it is my pleasure to come here this afternoon and recall to mind things that I remember quite vividly about those days. Just a few things. I hope my remarks might in some way bring a bit of realism to these unique times gone by. So let's reach back in time to more than a half century gone by and think back to a time of naiveness and innocence, so to speak, for those who among us today were adults then. By the time the United States officially entered World War II, that is after December the 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day, Hitchcock had already been in a full wartime mode for an entire year. Folks here in Hitchcock had awakened one fall morning in 1940 to an announcement which appeared in the newspapers that there would be a large army camp built right in the middle of their town, almost. And by November the 1st, 1940, construction was underway on what was to be Camp Wallace. All of this had been kept top secret, so the effect of all this news in every way was instantaneous. Every phase of life in Hitchcock was impacted, believe me. Hitchcock, for instance, went from having one small cafe to having 7 operating restaurants in just a few short months. The 2-man post office we had here staggered under as many as 25 or more 150-pound sacks of mail each day. Construction workers of all types poured in. Other newcomers arrived to do related jobs. All these people were hard-pressed for a place to live. There suddenly was little gasoline for transportation, so it was imperative to live right here. Later, this group would grow to include the wives and Army personnel who were permitted to live off base and who, of course, would like to live nearby. The camp was opened in May 1941, and it soon had a complement of over 10,000 new recruits and personnel. These were raw recruits and were at Camp Wallace for only 6 weeks for their basic training. At the end of that period, they were given a brief furlough and were dispersed to here, there, and yonder, but most likely overseas. Every home in Hitchcock that had an empty room, outside or inside, in garages or in barns, or a pasture which might be opened up and a makeshift road cut through for parking trailers on it, all these people could rent them if they wished. After the United States actually entered the war, gas was rationed. The ability to be mobile ground to a halt, and there was immense dependence on bus service to go into Galveston or Houston for both the civilian and the military individuals. Now, these buses ran every hour to and from Camp Wallace to Galveston, stopping in Hitchcock also for passengers. Buses to Houston did not run quite so frequently, but almost. But it was practically impossible to get a seat on the bus, so one just stood up. The buses were, for the most part, rattly, ancient ones, taken out of mothballs as the newer vehicles were pressed into service by the government to move personnel. Now, these were not air-conditioned, nor were they heated. The one-man railway depot, under the supervision of A.S. Burns, who at that time was the agent for the Santa Fe and the Railway Express Agency, expanded almost immediately to include 16 personnel. Now, I was among those 16. I went on board in March 1942. There were additional railroad personnel situated at Camp Wallace also. The task of troop movements was a monumental and a complex one. One must remember that the railroads were just about the only way that troop movements of any size were handled at that time, except, of course, by sea. And I say this to illustrate even more the tasks which faced personnel with railroad companies. They moved all the freight as well as the people. This 16-man operation in Hitchcock struggled to move freight, passengers, and troops under the most stressful, and yes, I would also add, primitive conditions. This became even more complicated logistics-wise with the building in 1943 of the blimp base. Now, all material for the construction of the immense hangar, the runways, the other buildings were brought in over the Santa Fe Railway, which also operated a spur line from their main line built especially for the new facility which was being erected. Now, in the display room this evening, you will be able to view a very unique operating diorama of the blimp base, with which I think you will be fascinated. Please remember to see it. I have touched on the aspects of the everyday business life, the changes which came, but there is left one element, and a very important one, at which we haven't yet looked from behind the curtain of time. That is the